Well, should we try and get some energy up?
Let's rock and or roll.
Okay. So
Wow, there it is.
there it is indeed. So for the nerd cred, name that trope.
Jack, do you have it?
Name that trope. What?
From this episode, did you spot the trope?
It's the flashback trope, right? It's the.
You don't know the name?
No, Rashomon style.
Rashomon, yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know the name. I know that's. I know the trope.
Josh
I guess,
is the bigger nerd.
This time.
Do you know what? That's fair. I humbly accept my defeat there. That's okay.
I think you and I passed the title back and forth, buddy.
What? So where does the name come from?
This was originally a film in the 50s by Akira Kurosawa, the Japanese film director, who made I believe it's the story of one samurai's battle told from multiple different perspectives.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it's called the Rashomon effect.
I learned something today.
and the TV tropes page for it is one of the longest that I have ever seen.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It is just like endless.
I've seen it so many times. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is what the trope is called. So shall we get into it?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay. Hi, friends.
Hello, puppets.
Howdy, y'all.
And welcome to Muppet Sex and Trauma. I'm Sara Ezzat. I make the Fat Culture Critic videos on YouTube.
I'm Jack Kramme, editor / right-hand man for Passion of the Nerd.
And I'm Josh Gosdin from a certain point of view.
And that's enough.
One day, Josh, I'm going to be able to
do another round from each other's perspectives.
One day, Josh, I'm going to be able to keep a straight face when you have your little end bit there, but today is not that day.
It's okay. It'll come. Don't worry.
Okay, so we are here to talk about The Ugly Truth. The Ugly Truth was written by Gabrielle Stanton and Harry Worksman Jr., a married couple who've worked together before on Home on the Remains and My Three Crichtons, and it's directed by Tony Tilsey. We open on Talon. It seems Crace has made contact and invited the crew for a parlay. After Aaron checks that Crace has removed his mental link with Talon, John, Dargo, Zahn, and Stark come aboard. Back on Moya, Chiana and Rigel are remarking on how Talon has grown when a vessel belonging to a race known as the Pulcavians arrive. Suddenly, Talon's cannon fires, destroying the vessel. When we return from the credits, the boarding party are on a transport pod, while Talon and Crace starburst away. The crew tries to get to Moya, but are captured by another Pulcavian vessel and knocked out. When they come to, they are being held on an inescapable floating disc. The Pulcavians proceed to question each of the boarding party as to what happened aboard Talon, who shot their vessel. Everyone has a slightly different story of what happened. Some are lying, some are mistaken, some are foggy on the details. Dargo blames Stark blames Crace, and absolutely no one can agree. But the Pulcavians are cops, and all cops are basted in acid apparently. And also bastards. And so they intend to execute everyone. Luckily, Stark has a get-out-of-execution pass on this particular kind of execution. So he takes the fall for everyone and is dispersed with the possibility of reconstitution. Returning to Moya, Dargo expresses regret that Stark paid such a price for what he did. But he didn't do anything, said Zahn. John had turned off the console that Stark touched. But as Aaron points out, turning the console off turned control back to Talon himself, who panicked at scanning the Pulcavian vessel. Stark really did sacrifice himself for the crew. Later on Moya, Dargo is pensive. He misjudged the man who brought him news of his son. And is this the person he wants to be? Okay, so thoughts?
So this is another one where they just dropped us in it without really setting it up or telling us what was going on. And because of that, I'm almost embarrassed to admit, but I didn't get what the hell was it like, what it was trying to do for like 15 minutes or so. And then I was like, oh, okay. But and I'm still not entirely sure how I feel about the episode. Maybe I'll have a much clearer idea after we have this chat. But for the most part, I think I liked it. Yeah, it was pretty good.
I really enjoyed it. I liked what felt like a very big shift in tone from the last few episodes that we've had. And it was matched really well by a lot of the production values in this episode. Obviously, the minimalist set in the Placavian's ship, but also even the scenes on Moya were lit differently than they usually are, it seemed, and were just very like moody and broody, and I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I'm a sucker for multiple characters telling multiple perspectives and flashback of a single event. And I was already like, as each flashback was coming, I was like, okay, so that's about this. But it's a little bit different here. And I go, oh, I'm trying to suss it out for myself. I was having fun with it.
Yeah, you can tell it's a Tony Tilsey episode when it's getting moody and broody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I loved how each person's recounting of the story was like subtly different in ways. Sometimes very different, but subtly different, and even like tonally different. Like Dargo's was very like high energy, and he just spent the time shitting on Stark. But then like John's version was quite subdued and thoughtful. I thought that was very, very cool. I don't think I've seen it done that way, like this trope done in a way where each version is like tonally different. I thought that was cool.
I think Zahn's version was my favorite because it was filmed the most unique. Like almost no character who had dialogue was on screen when they were speaking during Zahn's retelling of it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Obviously it was kind of fun to shoot because they were redoing every scene slightly differently, different performance, different blocking, different camera angles. So yeah, it was a bit of a complicated shoot, but I think it worked out really well. And yeah, like it's interesting the way that certain characters are looking at the person who's speaking, and others are focused on the people who are hearing the information.
Right. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and I love that we start with Aaron, who everyone behaves very calmly right up until they do bad things. But like she's telling everything so calmly and logically, and everybody's yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Grace is probably the most sensible in her version of events. And then personally, I love Zahn, who's obviously being a terrible liar and throwing in all the sucking up moments.
Yes.
And there's the little touch of when John's telling it, everyone uses the word placavoid.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
So yeah,
I caught that too. That was funny.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was really unique in that way. Yeah, like like we talked about, like this has been done so many times, but I don't think I've seen it done quite this way before.
It's a classic trope because it gives it like there's so much scope to play with when you're doing something like this, because it's also like it's a real thing. The Rashomon effect is in fact like a real thing in like forensic whatever. Because the literal, like, if you ask people, you will get different versions of a memory.
Yeah.
Even at different times.
Yeah. Especially under stressful situations. Like it happens a lot with when the police arrive on the scene of a traumatic incident. Different people may give different versions of what happened, even though they might have seen the same thing. It's a stress thing, and yeah. Also, like human memories are fallible, and I loved like this episode does a great job of showcasing that. I think.
Yeah,
one of the things that I also appreciate is the way that each telling can reveal things about each character. And so Starks was the most interesting to me narratively for that very reason. Visually, Bazan's was most interesting, but narratively, Starks was.
Yeah. So how did you feel, Josh? You've been wanting to get Christ back.
Yeah.
We got a little bit of Christ.
My boy Christ.
We saw a lot of him, but he was only in the story for a brief period of time.
We did. We got a little bit of Christ. I was concerned a little bit about the way that we got Christ back, where he basically just like called them up. And I'm wondering how much or how relevant the fact that Christ could find Moya very easily versus how difficult it's been for Moya to find Talon. I'm wondering if that's a plot point that's going to come up or if it's a storytelling choice that's being made. But like it's starting the episode with him just turning around and then walking in. I really enjoyed.
And in that shot, we get like Aaron walks on the ship, and she very intentionally looks peacekeepery, like with the hair and they very much like. I was like, oh wait, is like my initial thought was, wait, is Aaron turned the dark side? I swear they very intentionally made her look peacekeepery or something.
They were playing with us for a little bit in the teaser. For sure.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got anyway.
So what does this mean now? Is are Krace and Talon close by again? Are we going to see them again some more? Or is it going to be a similar kind of thing where he's reaching out for help in Talon wrangling?
It's clear that something is going on with Talon. We're getting if Krace is struggling to wrangle him and wanting to change his weapons and
I was wondering that. And then we get that bit where Talon tells Moya that he's fine and that he's happy, and I was wondering if there was some sort of Stockholm syndrome going on there, you know.
Oh, definitely. Well, it seems to be going both ways a little bit, because Krace was definitely a lot more sane than the last time we saw him.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, he even calls it out himself. And how much do you believe Krace? But he's like, I'm a changed man, And so it's a question of how true that is.
I'm still holding on to my theory that he's going to become a good guy. I swear it's going to happen. Every time I see him, I'm like, is this it? Is this it? And then it doesn't happen. And I'm like, next time. We'll get him next time.
Kind of feel like he's playing a long game.
I believe he's changed from what he was. I don't know what he's changed into or what he will change into tomorrow.
And can you imagine, like, he's now spent like months alone on this living ship. I mean, I suppose he's got the neural link with Talon so they can communicate, but I think that'd still be different than being physically around other people. I don't know.
And he's in a unique situation that he hasn't been in before, where he's not just alone, but he's responsible for taking care of somebody. Sure, he was a captain in the Peacekeepers, but we didn't really get the impression that meant that he gave a damn about the people under his command. But he's responsible for taking care of Talon's needs.
He was responsible for his brother.
Yes.
Or he was made responsible for his brother. How well that worked out.
Yeah, but what I mean to say is that taking care of something can change a person.
I'm wondering too, because Krace gives us the idea that Talon is like going off the rails, is in like this rebellious teenager phase. But then at the end, we find out that he attacked the Placavians to protect his mother. Like he was, being protected. So I wonder what really is going on there, because we're kind of getting two different stories in a way.
I absolutely love that reveal at the end, that it was Talon himself who did it, and to protect Moya.
I felt relieved. I was like, okay, so he's not just a psycho.
No, but he also that's not a mature reaction to be like, you contain a thing that might be threatening to my mom. I'm going to blow you out of the sky.
Absolutely, yeah.
Even Norman Bates loved his mommy.
Yeah. No, you're spot on, so Sarah. I totally agree. It's very it's like, boy, that escalated quickly. That went from 0 to 100. Like, it's like that should be like the last resort, not the initial reaction.
Sure.
Well, 1-year-olds shouldn't have big cannons.
Also true. These are good points that we're making here.
Sarah is at 2023.
Toddlers and weaponry is a bad thing.
Absolutely. Yep. I agree.
I'm in America. Let me write this down.
Like, I'm not in Kahanu's camp where it's like, let's destroy Mama because she might create a gunship. But also, toddler gunship is a bad sentence.
Absolutely. Especially, yeah, no, I agree. This also kind of felt like a Farscapian like murder mystery, like who done it, Yeah, which is pretty cool.
So let's take a second and talk about the design work, because only Farscape would have given us these visuals. Like, not just the hubcap of doom, but another comfy chair.
Okay, so
that chair
was like straight out of an OBGYN's office.
Yes.
No,
like
it was like
chair.
the Dead Ringers. The Cronenberg's version of
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Placavians
really liked,
were... Sorry, Josh.
I was gonna say I really liked the tube lights, whatever you want to call them, that were like coming up around the chair, and the one that was like staring them straight in the eye. But it took me a second to realize that they all had their feet up in stirrups, like they were giving birth to their testimony or something.
That eye thing reminded me of an alien movie from the 80s. I just cannot remember the name of. I can't even describe it. There's a kid and this. Never mind.
It was very War of
Flight
the
of the
Worlds.
Navigators?
Maybe. I don't know. I just remember this kid with this light on this tubular light thing looking at him.
I think I know what you're talking. I have a memory too.
They used to use it a lot in like VHS like commercials and stuff, and like previews. Yeah.
Viewers, if you know what we're talking about but can't put our finger on, then let us know.
Please let us know. Yes.
But yeah, it is a freaky thing, and I love how like they managed to avoid showing us the aliens for as long as possible, and we get
the silhouette was scarier than the aliens themselves.
100%.
Yeah.
I could have done without ever seeing the aliens.
Like, yes, yeah, like the aliens were pretty gross, but they did, like, yeah, it would have been better to just never see them. But like the acid dripping and the
ankle deep water was weird.
And the way they seem to have like 3 legs. And the way they move.
Yeah, it was among the freakiest stuff I've seen on this show, I think.
It was, but I definitely found myself wishing that it had been a creature Muppet instead of actors in costumes. We haven't seen a good Muppet in a while.
That's true, and I was expecting that. I was like, "Oh, Jim Henson are going to bring the A game again," but then it's just gross prosthetics.
The last good Muppets we saw were the methed out Big Birds.
Oh, yeah,
well, have you noticed we're watching our budget at the moment?
Ah, yeah. Okay.
That's what you do when you create a minimalist set. That's unquestionably the case.
And what happens after we conserve the budget for a while?
There's a big finale.
We go bananas.
Yeah. Okay.
Which will hopefully include some good Muppets.
Actually, come to think of it, yeah, like the Placavian ship, all of that looked so good, but it was pretty minimalist. So that's very skillful to make something so effective.
It was beautiful.
Spend a ton of money on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that to just like that was just like a hubcap looking thing that they filmed over water, and it had this infinity look.
I kept staring at it going, what is this actually? Like I actually couldn't figure out what they actually did, like whether they were just in a dark room and on like a plastic set that they made look metallic. Like
over a plank of water, over a tank of water.
Yeah.
Just build a thing and
yeah.
It's
very cool.
This is what, when you have creative people. Yeah.
I also kept looking at it going,
less is more.
I kept looking at it going, that doesn't look safe from like an OH&S perspective. It just didn't look safe.
No, and we never did get the answer of what happens when someone has to go to the loo.
Right, exactly. And I think Crichton spits off it, right, to see how far down it goes, and
you never hear it.
Yeah, it just keeps on going. So yeah.
So let's talk a bit about Dargo.
Mm-hmm.
He's going through some stuff.
This episode, I went from one extreme to the other with Dargo, because initially it reminded me so much of why I disliked him in the beginning, just like the hot-headed, like not really seeing logic, kind of lux and rage. But then that bit at the end where he's talking to Chiana and he's just like, what does he say again? I'm distrusting of people who are trying to help me. That right in the feels, man. So yeah, I went from annoyed with him to, oh man, I love you, dog. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it was an interesting reflection. I have just simply by virtue of how we're doing this podcast. A long time has passed in the real world since we first watched the season 2 premiere, and I would love to go back and spend some time binging season 2. Because I feel like the character arcs are arcing really well for a lot of our main characters. Dargo's coming more and more towards this really grounded, almost paternal figure. And he's actually doing some good self-examination and all that kind of good stuff. And so just getting to see him, like even before he gets to the scene with Chiana when they're still on the hubcap of Dune, and Stark is raving to Zahn about how scared he is that he's going to get executed. It cuts to a shot of Dargo looking over his shoulder at Stark, and you can just clearly see the regret of the testimony that he gave.
I did find his testimony kind of funny though, just how just completely dumping on Stark the entire time was quite funny. But and sorry, Sara, I cut you off there.
And John as his wingman, just being like, yeah.
It was so good. It was really funny. Yeah,
I really like this. I think it's great to have an opportunity to take Dargo back to his nightmare place, and back to being imprisoned. Which is where he started, and the thing that he has sworn to never happen again that keeps happening with him getting taken prisoner, and it brings out the worst in him. But we get a quick run, a speed run of his arc. Because he goes back, being captured takes him back to zero, and then, but he is the grown person that we've known for his arc. So he goes through a little mini arc of back to himself. It's a little,
that's brilliant.
To remind us of where he's been.
Yeah,
that's
I like
so
that.
good. I didn't think of that at all. That's amazing.
I appreciate that perspective.
And also remind, we get other people's perspective on him as well. As we, the people we get the most perspective on, I think, are John and Dargo. A little bit on Zan, but that's kind of for comedic effect, the way that Aaron doesn't respect Zahn. But that Zahn pulls out racist stereotypes about him. she's just like, this is someone who's been on his crew, who's been his friend, and she's just like, well, Lux and Hyperrage is the thing, and it's like, is she doing that to try and get them out, to try and get them out of trouble, or is that how she actually views this person that she's been living and working with for the whole time? Is she viewing him as sort of a stereotypical Luxon? Yeah. And he views himself as this, big man in charge.
Yeah. Tough guy.
Front and center of the little phalanx.
And I think that that Aaron mostly views him as, reliable, calm ally for most of the time when she was talking about it, which may be the way that she wants to present everything to the Placavians, or it may be how she actually sees him. And she also sees John as a little bit foolish, but in a kind of endearing way, I think. But yeah, she sees him as common sensible up until he starts to get mad. So yeah, it's just, and it's interesting on we'll get to John in a second and the way that everybody sees John as their friend. But yeah, like I think it's really an interesting sort of reacquaintance with Dargo. And this, he's like I love the tank characters. I do. Been playing Mass Effect. I love Rex. And a tank with real depth is just, I think, one of my favorite things. And I love that final scene where he's reflecting, is this who I want to be?
It's so beautiful. I love it so much.
Yeah. And it's interesting that it takes place with Chiana, who like seeks him out and comes to find him and stuff. Because we spent a lot of time in the last episode talking about Dargo and Chiana's relationship and whether it's inherently doomed or whether there's an opportunity for them to grow and all that kind of stuff. And here I think we see more evidence of the latter, that there's an opportunity for growth and healing for each of the two of them.
Why not do? I'm just getting both.
Why can't there be growth and why can't it be doomed?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you're the writer of a television show, sure, but
I just got like the little kid in my head. Why not those?
Well, fair enough. There's a lot of why not both going around for a lot of different things. But for me, it's very much really just a really sweet moment of the two of them kind of working through their stuff together, and Chiana putting aside her ego several times this episode.
Yeah.
Was a kind of a good rebuttal to last episode's seeming conclusion about their relationship.
Yeah, let's talk about Chiana.
Can we please? I was just about to say, can we switch gears? Because I got some shit to say.
Yeah.
So look, I get why she was left out of the main plot. Someone had to be, I guess, to go with Pilot, and they search around, blah, 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 blah. But firstly, I think it would have been so interesting to have her there and to have her be interrogated by the Placavians and have like a perspective that could have done so much with that. Secondly, I got really mad and thought it was really shitty how Pilot talks down to her when they're doing the circular pattern searching for Talon. Chiana questions it, and Pilot's like, I'm doing what Moya wants, don't question us. He essentially tries to pull rank, and I'm like, dude, fuck you. Like, what the hell? I didn't like that at all. And it sort of made me realize that does sort of happen a lot to Chiana. People generally don't take her seriously, and that bugs me a lot.
Yeah, same. I found myself about halfway through the episode. I found myself wishing that it was Rigel and not Stark, who was over on Talon, and then thus later being interrogated by the Placavians. If only because Rigel has a much more direct emotional connection to Krace than Stark does, and so I think the potential for drama would have been better there.
That's great. Yeah, I like that.
And then that would have left Chiana and Stark back on Moya, and that would have left Chiana as like the only true person of Moya back on Moya. And I think would have lent a little bit more heft to her and Pilot's conflict this episode. Because Rigel, after being like, they don't want to negotiate, vanishes from the episode. Also kind of frustratingly. And I guess if you're going to end an episode by killing a character, Stark is the one we're going to kill.
I was disappointed though.
A little bit, yeah.
Kind of.
And kill.
I just love Stark.
Okay, sure. He's dead.
It's science fiction. What's the rule in science fiction if you don't see a body?
He's probably going to come back. Like I'm pretty sure he's coming back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's coming back too. But I try to take the episodes as they come, and he's dead.
Yeah.
So whether he stays dead is another question.
I was happy to see him, and it gave me this glimmer of hope that he was going to become like a permanent part of the crew. But
right,
I guess
yeah,
not. Yeah,
and at the very least, however long his death lasts, is that much more time that we don't get to spend any time developing his character. So that kind of sucks too.
Yeah, I think they painted themselves into a corner, and it's kind of like
a little bit, yeah.
We have to give someone a get out of death free card. I might be able to reconstitute myself.
That's the thing. At least it makes sense in terms of their character. Then, like he does have some ability there, which they're not really. They didn't really explain all that well. But we got a bit of an explanation that it's something to do with his energy, I guess.
It does break the rule that you use contrivance to get people into trouble, not to get them out of trouble. This is a contrive. Like I enjoy this episode, but I'm also like, yeah, that's such a contrivance.
It is. Well,
it's only a contrivance if he comes back. If he doesn't, he's dead.
Yeah.
And but as to Chiana, I actually really like this arc for Chiana. It occurred to me on this watch. I'd never really picked it up before because this is not one I watch a lot, even though the performances are great and everything. But I don't love Pilot talking down to her. I love her finding her own voice and standing up for herself. I think we needed a bit of these are the people who could run. Her and Rigel, and who often would be tempted to run when there's trouble. And the fact that she doesn't want to run, and she is, in fact, standing up for herself and standing up for them and being like, no, we are going back. I really like that. I think it would be more meaningful if we hadn't already seen it in the stupid lawyer one.
Forgot about that one. Yeah.
Me too.
Not surprisingly.
Yeah,
that was.
We all forgot about Litigara.
That was a weird one. Such a weird one, and not in a good way. Because when Farscape goes weird, it does it very well most of the time. But that was like Litigara, really?
Yeah. Yeah. But. Not to relitigate Litigara, but I do think that they I appreciate this moment for Chiana of like this reinforcing that no, she isn't the runaway girl in this circumstance. We've had a lot of circumstances in this season in which she is the runaway from various situations, and trying to resist and insisting that she won't change. But I think her sticking up for her friends and standing up for herself to Pilot and Moya, and like that. I think that is a change for her and a recognition of her growth. Being like, no, you will listen to me. This spiral search pattern is silly. This is not working. We need to.
I just wish it was more forceful. Like when she does stand up for herself, it's still a little. I felt like it was a little subdued still. But yeah, no, you're spot on though.
Yeah, it wasn't manipulation or anything that she often does. It was just like, I'm going to appeal to logic. I'm going to remind you how that you care about Aaron, and you are going to listen to me. So it was subtle, but I liked it. It was something I picked up on this watch that I hadn't really before.
I like that part as well. And like I said, I think it spoke well to just her ongoing character growth we've gotten to see this season.
So, are they selling you on the triangle?
On the triangle?
Guess not.
What?
Are you sure that it's only Talon you care about? You read this. I feel like they're trying to make John being jealous of Grace a thing.
Oh, okay.
They're definitely trying to make John being jealous of Grace a thing, and it was weird. Yeah, I see where they planted seeds for it at the beginning of the season when Aaron and Grace briefly had their little alliance that she didn't tell John about right away.
Okay.
But it's a little weird from a like, I don't know, have some faith in Aaron kind of perspective.
You know what? I think it's so weird that it went over my head because I didn't really perceive much of that at all. Like now you're saying it, yeah, but I guess I just perceive Grace as such a bad guy, and Aaron's removed herself from that.
It also just doesn't feel like John.
Yeah, true.
Like they're trying it, but it doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't feel.
He can be a bit of a meathead sometimes, but we don't see him be like possessive or like petty often, you know, or jealous.
Well, and in that scene between John and Aaron, Claudia Black played absolutely zero subtext to her lines. Like there was no indication that she has any doubts or is like struggling with any internal feelings or anything like that. She was like, no, it was about talent. And so,
that was see, I misinterpreted that scene.
What did you read from that scene?
Well, to be honest, I didn't quite get it. Like I was just like, what? Yeah, that was my read. I didn't have one. I was like, okay.
So far it's less of a love triangle and more of John being jealous for some reason.
Yeah. Just out of context, out of character, weird jealousy.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to rewatch that scene now. Because I don't know. I was so tired last night too, because we had just done the hangout and I was freaking exhausted. But okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of I'm a little bothered now because I missed something, but whatever.
That's okay. You missed something that neither of us felt landed. So maybe that's why I didn't notice. I was just like, okay, whatever. Why are they talking about this?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's how I felt. I was just like,
it's kind of how I felt, but of like that the writers are trying to do a jealousy thing.
Yeah, and
it doesn't make any sense.
I just didn't feel it at all. Clearly.
Both Erin's actions and her explanation for her actions are very in character. She cares deeply about talent.
Yeah.
And always has. From like
I love that.
It's maternal, it's big sister, it's whatever. But her being like, yeah, it was to save talent. It's like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. And John being like, Are you sure there wasn't something else?
Yeah, like
And like
actually, yeah, I do remember that.
Grace is hot, but he is hot and crazy.
he is hot in the same way that Darth Vader's kind of hot, I guess. It's
but like
evil guy you love to love.
Lonnie Tupu is a very attractive actor, very attractive person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot see Claudia Black.
No,
Or I cannot see Aaron having any interest in Grace.
No.
And I do remember now when John said was that all it was or whatever. I was like, what are you talking about? I literally didn't get it. I was like, what are you hinting at here? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, Grace, I think may have some interest in Aaron.
That we telegraphed well at the beginning of the season as well.
Yeah.
In a very like, let me seduce you to the dark side, and that comes across as let me seduce you.
Well,
yeah, because it doesn't.
I also read that as just him wanting to control her rather than be with her.
Yes,
yes, 100%.
Yeah, it doesn't feel to me like I think I would think he's attracted to John.
in that way,
chasing around the universe
just to control.
It's just kind of like, yep, you're an attractive person, but mostly I want to control you. And yeah, which maybe that is a thing in Grace's brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can read the relationship that he had with the female lieutenant, whose name escapes me at the moment, whose neck he ultimately snapped, as having the same sort of subtext. Like, if there's somebody with whom I have a sexual potential with, that sex becomes a tool or a weapon. It isn't romantic.
And they're peacekeepers. They recreate. They don't build relationships.
Exactly. To me, I love that reading. It makes perfect sense that it is very seducing to the dark side, so that I can have her under my thumb, or I can reduce the variables or whatever. Let's settle down together and have little peacekeepers.
There's something about this person that intrigues me.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything about Grace that intrigues Aaron.
No.
Aside from his possession of talent.
Like in the scenes where, and I remember now from earlier in the season, where they're on Talon together, and he's like doing his dark side seduce walk around her back, and all the characters do that. She plays it with fear and anxiety. She doesn't play it with titillation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I genuinely think if Erin was in a bar and Grace approached her, she would roll her eyes and walk away. I genuinely think that there's no interest there whatsoever.
And it lessens Crichton for him to think that she would.
Yeah, that's why I didn't get it, because why would Crichton think that? It's so weird.
So Grace kind of wants to manipulate Aaron. John is a little jealous of Grace, and Aaron is like, what the fuck are you two doing?
Also, like, Aaron, I feel like Aaron has successfully shrugged off her peacekeeperiness. Like, I don't feel like she's because she struggled with it at first, but I really feel like she's past that now. So why would she be interested in any way?
And yes, he's also shrugged it off, but not in the same way that she has.
Mm-hmm.
So
he hasn't done the work to move through what being a peacekeeper did to him. He's only removed himself from the circumstances and adapted to his new circumstances.
Right, because he's still got the same sort of mindset. He hasn't really tried to. Yeah,
I feel like the writers are doing. He's male, she's female. Therefore,
which is so lazy. It's so lazy.
It's like, can we not do triangles? Like Farscape.
Again, that's why I just didn't get it, because I'm like, why?
Because you were thinking about the story logically. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I just didn't think Aaron would have any interest. So why would John think that?
Yeah, like we have not seen any evidence of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they can understand that they don't build that with her. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like it's like he's another male in the scene. Therefore, like, no.
It seems so illogical.
Understand the woman that you've written.
Right.
That's all we ask, really. From any of our writers.
and even John, understand the woman who has clearly shown you that she is into you. Like they're still in this like will they, won't they area, but they're more towards they will. You know, we're getting closer to that.
Yeah, like they are building, they're moving things at her pace, and it'd be different if like I don't know if there's a way to play it as like because he's frustrated by how long she's taking to get there that he would have frustration, but I just don't see how it works with Price.
Yeah, that even that I think requires a radical interpretation of the text.
Yeah. At least at this point. So yeah. I don't know. I think have we beaten that horse that we do not like?
I think so.
Well, we didn't. 2/3 of us only were the only ones who got it.
Exactly.
It was done so poorly.
That's the thing. It was done so poorly. I was just confused by the line. I was like, "What are you trying to get at?" Yeah. So
yeah, I think we have post triangle syndrome from having watched Angel.
Oh my fucking! Don't even. Sorry, we don't have time.
Yeah, I know. Don't open that can of worms.
You just got a brand new external hard drive that I don't want to fill up.
Yeah, we're nearing the end of the episode here, so come on.
And that might be a bit too niche for our viewers.
That's another podcast whole thing together.
Muppets, vampires, and trauma.
Yes, unnecessary triangles in LA.
Yeah.
Also that sounds like an architecture class at UCLA.
Or it sounds like the name of a song by a pop punk band or something.
Vampires, triangles, and yeah. Vampires, brooding, and triangles. No, there's nothing there.
We're closing in on something here.
Yeah. But anyway. So anything else? Anything on theme?
One thing I just wanted to touch on was that I loved when John was in the chair and everybody's faces were being projected onto his as he was like trying to explain for them. Like it was almost as if he was speaking for each character as it was projected on his face. I thought that was really clever, and I'm a sucker for that artsy symbolic stuff. So I ate it up. I loved it so much.
I love that as well. I think there was something interesting being said about the autonomy of choice, or the right to choose for oneself, or something like that. Crace on the surface seems to want to do a good thing, where he wants to make Talon less dangerous, less lethal, less destructive, that kind of thing.
No cannons for toddlers.
Yeah, and that's the part that made me go, maybe Crace is turning around here. Like we're seeing But the whole reason why he called for Team Moya is because Talon won't let him. And so he's attempting to override Talon's autonomy and Talon's freedom of choice as Talon, as his own person, his own being. And so John returns Talon's choice to Talon. And does Talon make a good choice or the right choice or even a sane choice? There's doubts all around that he does. But the only way for Talon to continue to learn and to grow is to learn and grow as he is, instead of having somebody come along and, flip his metaphorical claws, which don't declaw cats. That's a really bad thing to do to cats.
No. Do take cannons away from toddlers. Don't declaw cats.
Do take, but Talon, I think, has more decision-making capacity than a toddler and a cat, to be fair.
Yeah.
But and so where we go from here with Krace and Talon's relationship as it's building, with Moya and Talon's relationship as it's building, I'm really excited to see.
Same. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. And then the Jothy stuff, like we got some good Farscape coming up, guys. Like I'm excited.
Okay, they did the thing, Jack. They did the thing where, Dargo didn't say the line, but it was very much like, "I'm gonna find my son."
Yeah. That was the picture was there, and Gianna was looking at it, and it was there.
Yeah. I didn't want you to be like spending this whole episode being like,
if you didn't telegraph this, I would have gotten real mad. So thank you.
Yeah, like I was
as
just,
good as this episode is.
Remember what 90s television was like.
Yeah, and I can confirm after this conversation, I definitely like the episode a hell of a lot. Yeah, at first I was just kind of like, why? But no, it's
and I think the knowledge of his son is affecting the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Even if we aren't getting on with the plot.
Mm-hmm.
At least it is, affecting stuff.
Well, and we get some good, I guess, thematic parallelism or thematic foreshadowing. We're dealing with somebody's son, just not Dargo's son.
One theme that I sort of got, which was definitely a subtle background theme, but just how when something bad happens, more often than not, we always want someone to blame because it can make us feel better in some way or like make it make sense or something. Because sometimes shit just happens. But obviously, this was a cause and effect. It was Talon that fired the weapons. Although Stark wanted to, it's just the weapons were disabled before he got to fire them. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially cops always want somebody to blame.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, beam.
Is there? I don't think the Placovoids practice retribution, or I don't think the Placavians practice
the Placovoids.
I knew I was going to do that. It's like, yeah, I don't think that they practice restorative justice. It
doesn't seem like it.
No, and that was a pretty heavy-handed. Like they were definitely a stand-in for police and you know that sort of rough interrogation and whatnot.
Yeah, there's nothing new on Earth. Still good cop, bad cop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like John's frustration is like nothing changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's true. Yeah, nothing changes.
I think things change just slowly and some things
subtly.
Sometimes the more things change, the more they stay the same because, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true.
But hopefully we could do policing differently.
Yeah, hopefully. Wouldn't that be grand?
And maybe start taking guns away from dogs.
Oh boy.
Okay, so this is I wore my radicalized the normies shirt today, and apparently I'm in my left-wing bullshit. Yes. So have we got anything else to say?
I've got nothing.
Give me more Talon and Krace.
Yeah.
And they mentioned Maldus. They name dropped Maldus. That's all.
Oh yeah, they did too. That was cool. Yeah.
So next episode is called A Clockwork Nabari.
Good. Love that for us.
Mm-hmm. And there is a content warning for Weird Eye stuff.
I love it. Give it to me.
And then the following episode will be the start of a 3-parter.
Another one. Is this like a leading up to the finale? Like a
props? we're coming close here.
Yeah,
there will be
it
a
looks like it.
three. There's the 3-parter, and then there's one more Coda episode.
Oh, okay.
Continue more as it were.
Farscape generally, for going forward, we're usually going to have a big climax and then a final episode of the season.
Okay.
So we
like a primeval / restless kind of thing.
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
So the first episode of Liars, Guns, and Money is called A Not So Simple Plan.
Okay.
And we
Interesting.
will be
good.
doing the 3-parter as individual episodes because it's 3 parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, of course.
And they are sort of contained. There are stories with definitive beginnings, middles, and ends of their own,
Okay.
as well as being part of
Mhm.
3. Yeah.
Love
There's a 2-parter next season that we will be doing as one episode.
Okay.
But yeah. So, any ideas for what might be coming up in A Not So Simple Plan?
Hopefully it's
Um,
Jothy time.
Yeah, they're mounting a rescue mission with a very complicated plan. I don't know. That'd be cool, but who knows? I don't know. It's. I've
You guys are
come
just
to
not
realize
good
that
at
you
the
just.
predicting game, are you?
But it's this show though. Like
Yeah, like there's no point.
Like,
we're almost
how was
immediately
I
wrong.
supposed
The
to
point
predict-
is to have a laugh and try for something ridiculous.
Yeah, but how was I going to predict like never get fooled again? Like, come on, like that was how. Like,
How many times did I predict Maldus was coming back and then stopped? And then he finally came back.
and then he came back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, no, the point is to do something ridiculous. Like, a simple plan involves attacking the mayor with hummus.
Or
That is a simple plan. Yeah.
starring the band Simple Plan.
Nice guest starring. I love it.
Yeah.
Give me Craze, give me Talon, give me Jothy, give me Muppets.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that much I desire. Sorry.
Well, we will be meeting one of my all-time favorite creature costume designs.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Okay. Exciting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think those of you who are watching ahead will know exactly who I'm talking about.
Love it.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So that will be in 2 weeks we're doing Clockwork Nabari, and then after that we will start on Liars, Guns, and Money. So
Sounds good.
favorite part.
Oh. I can't. Don't make me pick one. I'm not. Do you know what? I'm going to cheat. Okay, I have 2 favorite parts. Firstly, the conversation between Chiana and Dargo. At the end there, and Dargo, he's had a realization and some real character growth there. I love that. But also the last shot of Zahn cradling Stark's mask. It's just, oh, my freaking heart, man.
Well, if Jack is, I could cheat. So I guess from a technical standpoint, a duelist standpoint, my favorite was Zahn's retelling of events, just because it was really artfully and effectively done. And then character-wise, it's that last conversation between Dargo and Chiana, unquestionably.
Sorry.
Well, I can't pick that because you guys have both picked it.
You can. You can. Though.
Yeah,
We can all have the same favorite parts.
We're cheating, so it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm gonna try and come up with something different. I think I'm gonna go with Chiana standing up for herself.
Good one.
A fine choice, an excellent vintage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell the folks where they can find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Lack of Surprise 1. That's all one word with a number 1 at the end. You can find me on our Discord server, Howdy Poppets. I've changed my username to Lack of Surprise over there to make it a little easier. And over on Instagram, at Jack Kramme, lowercase, one word. Josh, what about you, sir?
I'm also over on Instagram, but it's at Josh Gosdin, and it's all lowercase and all one word. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Sara?
You can find me on YouTube at the Fat Culture Critic. And you can also find me on Twitter and Blue Sky now. And so when we will be back in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. See you then.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. I got space.
Oh,
The
nice.
final frontier.
How big is it?
4 terabytes.
These are the voyages.
4 terabytes.
Of 4
Nice.
terabytes.